Welcome. Today we are going to be upgrading our art. I went ahead and found an asset pack that I really like. This is a character made by Hippo Games. I will include their link in the description down below. We are using the 4-direction character movement as a base, and then we will be modifying it ourselves to turn it into an 8-directional character movement. The way to set this up is I created a new empty Unity project. This is a 2D project. I went to Window, Package Manager, made sure it was set to my assets here. Sometimes you have to hit this load button if you have a whole bunch of assets. And then I went down and found the asset pack that I wanted. So for me, this is the Fantasy Heroes 4-direction character editor. I imported this asset. With this particular pack, sometimes you'll get an error saying Newtonsoft DLL is conflicted. The way you solve this is you go into your common folder, then you go into Newtonsoft, and you select your DLL file. You make sure you uncheck all of these, or if you have a different error where it says it's looking for Newtonsoft, you want to make sure to have all of these check marks checked. After you do that, we're going to go to our Fantasy Heroes scene, which is the scene right here, and we're going to hit play. This will give us a character creator. So you can create your character, give them whatever weapons you want them to have, change the armor, change the helmet and all that kind of stuff, the hairstyle or what have you. So you get some configuration that you like. Once you have a character that you like, you're going to click Save as Prefab and save it in the prefabs folder. Do note that this is a particular prefabs folder built into the Hero Editor 4D hierarchy, so it'll be under Fantasy Heroes prefabs. After you do that, all we have to do is navigate to that folder. So we're going to go to Fantasy Heroes prefabs, and we'll see some of the prefabs of various characters that I've created. So here's a goblin, here's just a standard human, here's a dude with a chef hat and a bow, and this one was just testing. Once you have a configuration that you like, we want to look at the hierarchy to see how it is set up. So over here, it's set up into different objects for each of the different perspectives. So the front perspective is this guy down here, so on and so forth. The shadows are the little ground shadows beneath their feet. So the way we want to use this is we want the correct sprite to show, or game object to show, depending on which way we are facing. If we go to the animation tab, this pack has a ton of animations. Of particular interest to us is the charge bow animation and the idle animation. We might also use some of the walking animations and what have you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our prefabs folder. We're going to right click on the prefab that we want and select export package. Make sure to have include dependencies checked, and this will export the package and all the art relevant to this guy, but not every single art piece that came with the asset pack. The advantage of doing it this way is you don't have bloat, so you're only getting what you need. This is why I like to open up purchase assets in a different project, take out what I need, and put it into my current active project. So you just export it and put it into whatever folder. Then we will switch back over to our main project. Now that we are here, we just have to import it. So I like to go to my assets folder. So I'm going to go up to assets, import new asset. Then I just select whichever prefab I want, and that will give me that prefab. This is the prefab I got from it. I named mine main player, and it's set up like this. Now, one thing you'll note is I moved all of my guys so that they are all standing on top of each other. I recommend doing this. Otherwise, it's going to look like the player moves when they switch views. All I did to do this was I selected each of these parent game objects and I zeroed out their X, Y, and Z positions. I left everything else the same. We will modify some settings later on once we add in the 8-directional movement, but for now, we're just going to set it up with 4 direction. The next step is to go to our player, and we want to replace our art component with our main player, or whatever prefab you just imported. Do note that you will need to add to the upper body arm anchor and to its hand your fire point. I believe I put mine on the left. Here's my bow, and then right here under my anchor bow, I put my shot point and my target point. The reason why we want to add them to this hierarchy is when you do an animation, the bow and that shot point will animate as well. For example, here's my charge bow animation. You can see that the shot point moves with this animation. You're going to want to add a shot point and a target point to each of your different perspectives. So all of my perspectives here have that. After you finish that, the next step is to modify our code. So we're going to go to our scripts and open up our player movement script. We're going to need a reference to each of those perspectives. So we need to create a bunch of serialized fields, private game objects for that. So we've got front, back, left, and right. Then we also need to come down to our switch. This is where we handle the rotation before. We're going to replace the rotation, or in addition to the rotation, we are going to add in our art management. We did change our rotation from rotating the player itself to just rotating the shot point. So that way we'll still aim in the correct direction. We're just swapping out the art. So all I do here is call set active true or set active false. This disable art objects function, I'm gonna peek the definition. This is just at the bottom of the script. All it does is disables every single art piece, and then we just enable the relevant one to whichever direction we are moving in. You can scroll down here and you can see the function down here as well. And that will make it so that we switch directions. For diagonals, we're going to be doing the exact same thing. We just need to make the art first and put in some animations. And that will be the next video. Let's hit play so we can see it in action. So I'm going to hit play, and when I move around, we're going to see that we can move. Don't forget to plug in your stuff in the inspector. I can show it real quick. All we had to do was go to our player movement script and plug in our front, back, left, and right transforms. Currently, the shot point is set to the front shot point. I have not added in the code to swap it. For now, it looks fine. Later on, we'll actually want it to swap between different modes. So we would have a side shot point, a front shot point, a back front shot point, and whichever one is active is going to be that one. If you guys want, you could do that as a challenge, figure out how to do that yourselves. I will cover it at the beginning of the next video for those of you who don't want to attempt to do it yourselves. I do highly suggest trying to do some stuff yourselves, as that will be the point where you learn the most. Hope you found this video interesting. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I will see you in the next one.